You got blurry.
Well, hello. Yep. Hello. And thank you, everybody. Welcome to this hangout. Thanks for pushing play. Josh Carey here, Pet Sittingology. And I am joined by one of my closest allies, one of my closest friends, one of the biggest advocates for the professional pet sitting industry. I know if you know her, you agree with me. Her name is Cindy Vett, and she is the owner of Pet Buddy Pet Sitting out in Decatur, Georgia, and the coach of Pet Pro Mentoring. She is going to be with us live in Las Vegas, featured as part of our workshop Wednesday. Welcome to today's show, Cindy. How's it going?
Doing great. Thank you very much for having me.
Absolutely. So what we're going to be focusing on today is we're going to get some insight from you, because as part of Workshop Wednesday, Cindy is going to be one of our session leaders talking about the coveted me time. How many of us never take that much needed me time? And what's the result if you don't? A lot of aggravation, frustration, and burnout, right? So what we're going to get into today is how Cindy recommends you carve out some me time. And the fascinating thing about this is it's not just me time for the sake of tuning out and turning off and vegging out. While that might be okay if that's your thing, I know some of us even have a hard time really turning off. So what she's going to do is show us how you don't have to turn off, how you can take some exciting me time to get out into your local community, not pet business related, and still make it work and pay off every bit for your pet business. So start us off, Cindy. How in the world do we begin to understand how to take me time that has nothing to do with pet sitting?
I think the important thing that you need to remember is if you don't make time on your schedule for you, and you don't schedule yourself just right alongside with your clients, you are going to burn out eventually, because we can't be everything to everybody 24/7. You know, we have our business, we have our clients, we have our pets, we have our families, and you have to take that me time. You have to focus on that. If you don't, you burn out. The quality of care of it for the pets that you serve and take care of will eventually suffer as well. So I think it's very important that you take that me time and actually put it on your schedule. Not just talk about it and say, oh, someday I'm going to take this time off. Put that me time on there, and it doesn't have to be, you know, a 2-week vacation. It can be an hour a month taking some class that you love in your community that you've always wanted to take in, and you just say, oh, I don't have time. Schedule the time. Schedule it off.
So you just answered my next question, which is how often should this be? And you're saying one evening or 1 hour a month getting out there in your local community is it. So good. So let's talk about what kinds of things are not pet business related, but wind up paying off. Help us break this down.
I tell people, what is that one thing, that one class that you look at in your community, whether it's a martial arts class, a gardening class, a bring your own beer or wine painting class, whatever it is, do you want to go join a hiking club, or if you live near a lake, a kayaking or sailing club, whatever it is that you've always wanted to do, and you're like, I never have the time, go do it. It has nothing to do with pets. But the goal is you're going to go and get me time, but you're also out in the community with other community members and neighbors who, while they may not have pets, they know somebody who does. So eventually they get to know you as a person. They get to trust you as a person and a human being. And eventually in conversation, it comes up, what do you do? And this is what I do. And you start meeting people in the community and build that trust.
So this is amazing, because typically when I think of getting clients, of course, my strength is helping you focus on your website. So when a pet parent is in the market for the service we provide, she'll go into Google and have your website appear, look at everything you're offering, and get in touch and hire you. But this is so different yet so insightful, because what we're doing is getting out into the community, which has nothing to do with pet sitting per se, but it positions you front and center first off as the person. So you're getting yourself in front of potential clients and in an environment that is social and exciting and just able to refresh and clear your head. And then they get to know you. And like you said, naturally, what do you do will come up, and then you're off and running. What kind of specific events have you had success doing this with?
I actually did, and we had just talked about it a little bit ago. I did about 3 years ago. I did 1 hour a month for 6 months. It was $10 a class, $60 total investment of my time and my money, or 6 hours of my time and $60 of my money. And I have no artistic talent whatsoever. I, can't even draw a stick figure. So it was a paint and bring your own beer or wine class. And while I still can't draw a stick figure, it was a fun class. There was a group of ladies who brought their wine with them, got to know them, and eventually over time, they've become great clients. They travel 2 or 3 times a year, going on wine trips, and it's just been fun. They're just, a great group of ladies, and, over the last 3 years, I would say anywhere from $5,000 to $6,000 a year annual income comes in from them, because they take 2 or 3 trips a year, and there's usually 5 or 6 of them that go. So, to the point where I've had to tell them, okay, when you guys go on vacation, it can't be at spring break or Christmas or New Year's when you go on these wine trips. It's got to be because they take up most of my schedule. So it's a beautiful thing. I love it.
I am beaming to hear this. Let me just break down some of what you just said. So you have spent 1 hour a month for 6 consecutive months, $60, going to a bring your own wine or beer painting class. So let's think about this. You've invested that advertising spend, but you're also able to just socialize, clear your head, do something creative, fun, and wacky that you say, I have no talent, but that's not the point. I'm stepping away from my business while still being very conscious and aware of my business, because again, that's getting you in front of your local community. So you did this for 6 months, 1 hour a month at this wonderful class. And you're telling me over the past few years, you've seen a return of thousands of dollars specifically tied back to that?
Yes, to that one class. Now, is that going to happen for everybody? Maybe, maybe not. But one thing you need to remember too is when you're getting out in your community, it isn't I place my ad and you get 5 phone calls for spring break. It is invested over time, whether it's taking classes and doing me time, whether you're talking about actually going and volunteering time, cleaning up a local park, cleaning the trash out of a river, painting a lunchroom in a school, that me time and invested community time, it kind of all ties in. And people get to know you and trust you as a person. They see you as an invested community member, and it does have benefits, but it does take longer time. It's just a lower cost investment, a little bit of time, but it happens over time. So it's not instant gratification. If that's what you're looking for, that's kind of not going to work, but it works in the long term, and it's the gift that keeps on giving.
And you know what is instant gratification is the fact that when I come home from that wine and beer class from painting, my mind, I'm not going thinking, oh, what is instant is now I'm drunk or buzzed. But seriously, what is instant? I mean, that might be instant. But what I'm going for is what is instant is the fact that you socialized, you stepped away, you turned off your business for an hour in that office mode or pet sitting mode and just enjoyed yourself, right?
It was a blast. There was one gentleman, and he brought his beer, and I was there, and these ladies were just hysterical. And yes, they did get a little tipsy, but their husbands all dropped them off. They went over to the Waffle House and had dinner, and then came back and picked the wives up. But they were just a great group of women, and gotten to know them very well over the last 3 years. And they've just kind of told other people about me. So even people that aren't involved in their wine trips, it's word of mouth referral ends up happening as well.
Yeah. And I know that you talk about how becoming a local expert in your community can help really position you properly. Give us a little insight into what that means and how you do that.
Perfect example is Facebook can be beneficial. It can also turn around and bite you if you're not real careful. So what I tell a lot of people is find those communities and areas to serve, not necessarily towns or cities. Sometimes you'll have neighborhoods that have Facebook pages, and you can get on there. And as you've gone out, people get to know you in community, either doing me time or doing, investments as business owner, whether it's, like I said, cleaning up a park or whatever. They get to know you both as a person and as a business owner. And when you're on these pages and somebody says, or even nextdoor.com, and somebody says, hey, I'm new to the area, I'm looking for a vet or a groomer or a pet sitter, you can say, here's the person that I recommend. I always say my clients I refer to, and that will sometimes lead to, oh, well, I'm a professional pet sitter. because they asked. I don't advertise, but you become that person that they go to. And it's a wonderful opportunity. We're just now in this area starting to have backyard chickens, and I joined a backyard chicken. It's called Tucker Cluckers. So it's an interesting Facebook page, but I actually have one of my clients that's on there has chickens is on there, and I've actually gotten 3 other referrals for chickens. I never would have thought in Metro Atlanta area I would be pet sitting chickens, but it's worked great. And they're teaching me actually in that group too, because I don't know as much about that. And I'm like, well, who do you take a chicken to? You don't take them to a vet. So I'm learning too. So it works both ways. You're in these groups, and in one group, I'm an expert. In another group, I also have an opportunity to learn about a species of animals I really don't know a lot about. So there's that benefit as well too.
You always strike me as someone, you've said the big learning word. You always strike me as someone who takes that to heart and who is always a continuously learning and a perpetual student. Is that true, and is that important?
That is very true, and that is very important. I don't think you ever stop learning. When you think you've stopped learning anything, whether it's about pets and pet care, about your business, about yourself. I'm very big on self-improvement. A lot of things I do is a lot of, inspirational, what they call memes on Facebook, and people will say, thank you, I needed to hear this today. You never know when that one thing that you say to somebody is going to really make a difference in their day. So yeah, it's all about learning. It's, about going to conferences. It's about learning from your clients. It's about learning from your community members. There's a lot of different things that can go on. I've done a lot of gardening stuff. I love gardening. There's a master gardener who's taught me a lot of stuff. So I actually have a client she's a master gardener. So when I could walk in and say, yes, I know to look for this species of bug on this plant, on your tomato plants, stuff like that, because I've learned, she's like, oh, great. Not only can you take and you know what to look for. So that worked out great as well. So it's just little things that you can learn. It doesn't have to be this big, mind blow light bulb moment. It can just be little things that you learn along the way and pick up as well.
It's absolutely amazing. And I'm thrilled that you're going to be with us live in Vegas, October 23rd through the 26th. Of course, one of our session leaders for Workshop Wednesday. Give us a little insight into what we are going to expand on when we are sitting at your table. What are we going to learn? What are we going to talk about?
What I like to do is the triangle. I would say you're always wearing that business owner hat, especially when you're out in the community, so that you make sure that you don't do the things on Facebook and post or rant or something maybe that's political that really shouldn't, anything on Facebook is not a secret. Anybody can take a screenshot and share it. So you kind of learn what you can and cannot do, but you're always that business owner. You always have that business owner hat on. You may take that pet sitter hat on and off, but you're always the business owner. So you kind of have to have that professional all the time. You can be personal, but you always want to maintain your P's and Q's. But wearing that business owner hat. Then you have the other corner of a triangle, that's the me time, taking that time for yourself, learning new things. And then the third corner of that triangle, being an invested community member. How all 3 of those go together, how they can work for you, and how they can build your business over the long run. So.
Absolutely brilliant, Cindy. I've always been impressed with you. You know that. I'm so glad that this past year we've been able to grow closer together and just help each other and be there for each other. So in Vegas, you're going to be sitting down with us. I love this triangle analogy you have over here, wearing the business owner hat and what all that means. Then you have taking the true to heart me time to avoid the burnout, and then coupling that with how to make all of that be getting out into your local community, because you must fraternize. True, right?
Yeah. Good. Very true.
Yep. Well, good. Well, on that note, we're going to leave it right here. We have so much more to discuss. Any final last minute words we can leave you with, Cindy?
I would just say, somebody said to me the other day that I think it's Joseph Campbell that talks about follow your bliss. And I think everybody has some gift inside of you. When you can be passionate about what you do, whether it's pet sitting or something else, or even that me time class that you want to go do and you want to learn to be passionate about something else. Being a pet sitter, you don't box yourself in. You got to remember, you're a human being. You need to follow your bliss. You need to get involved in those gifts that you're giving and share them, whether it's caring for other people's pets, whether it's giving back to your community as a business owner and as a human being. But there's always that you've got to take care of yourself, and part of that is being happy outside of being a business owner and a pet sitter. So always take care of yourself. Always put yourself on the schedule as well, and don't be afraid to say, okay, I need to take some time for myself.
Absolutely perfect. Thank you so much, Cindy, for joining us. Thank you for tuning in and watching. We really hope you register for our 5th annual Pet Care Professional Conference. You know when it's happening, October 23rd through the 26th. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks for watching, everybody. Enjoy the rest of the day.